I'm shocked, really, by the complete lack of integrity. I'm shocked that arguments are being put forward that were never raised on the floor 4 years ago about split government as some justification. I guess I'm not so shocked about the power grab involved because it began some 40 years ago when a group of very wealthy, very white people got together and said, we don't like this vision of government of, by, and for the people because, you know, the people, they kind of like things we don't want. We want to rig the tax system so we pay very little. We want to get those tax deductions and those tax subsidies. We want to make sure that people of communities of color don't vote. We want to be able to suppress the vote. How do we do that? Well, you know, the problem is that people who are elected get elected by the people, and we might be able to influence those campaigns some of the time, but you know what? There's one institution not subject to the vote of the people: the court. If we can corrupt the court, we, this very small group of white, wealthy power brokers in America, can control this country and install government by and for the powerful rather than our constitutional vision of government by and for the people. So this is a norm-shattering, precedent-shattering situation. There's only been two real objectives by the leadership of this body over the last 4 years. One was a $2 trillion tax cut, $2 trillion with a T, with virtually all the benefits going to the richest Americans. You know, a thief grabs an orange off a stand and they might go to prison for 6 months, or a loaf of bread, maybe they get a couple years. But through this bill, $2 trillion from the American Treasury given to the richest, most powerful Americans. Well, that's certainly not government by and for the people. That was one objective. The other objective was to dismantle health care for ordinary Americans who aren't rich and powerful. Let's tear down the ACA. Well, in my state, 400,000 Oregonians proceeded to gain health care through the expansion of Medicaid in the ACA. And since March, add another 120,000 to that list. 120,000 more. Why? Because they're losing their jobs. They're losing their jobs in this economic implosion caused by the failure to address the pandemic. People in Oregon, I go to every county every year. I have a town hall in every county, and most of my counties are deep red, as red as you'll find anywhere in the country. And you know what? People say, Health Care Bill of Rights. Thank God for that. What are they talking about? Children can be on their policy to age 26. They think that's a step forward. I know, because I've been out there every year and I ask them, children on your policy at age 26, how many people here like it? These very, very Republican, very, very conservative rural areas. No, we like that. Tax credits so lower income families can afford to buy health insurance on a marketplace. Oh no, we like that. Having a marketplace where you can compare policies one to the other. Oh no, we like that. Having preventive conditions covered because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Oh yeah, we think that's a step forward. That's in these conservative red districts. And the expansion of Medicaid, a lifesaver. You know what happens at these rural town halls? People who are at the local health care clinic stand up and say, you know, we doubled the size of our health care clinic because now our very low-income constituents can pay the bill, so we've been able to hire more people. We have a substance addiction program now we didn't have before. We have a mental health program we didn't have before. Don't take that away from us. We really love our rural health care clinic. We love the investment in rural clinics that the ACMA made. That list goes on and on. Now, my colleague from Wyoming said, there's this whole scare tactic about health care. Well, yeah, people are scared. Not because we're saying they're scared, because they're calling our offices and saying, we're worried. And they're saying they're worried because they heard the President of the United States. The President of the United States said, I'm only going to nominate a person who will tear down the ACA and will strike down Roe v. Wade. Don't you trust the word of the President of the United States to do what he said? He said it repeatedly. He said that was his goal. And he said to the Federalist Society, go and get me nominees that complete my goals. Federalist Society has been at work now for 4 decades to bias the courts for the wealthy and powerful. It's what they're all about. It was about preventing people of color from voting. Now that's expanded to college students. Now it's expanded to Native American reservations. Now it's extended to poor communities. Oh, we see the manipulation being planned on Election Day because now there's a court that by 5-4 gutted the Voting Rights Act and allows voter intimidation in this country, allows voter suppression. So we see the efforts. You decrease the number of polling places where you don't want people to vote. You move them so people aren't sure where to go. You understaff them so there's long lines in blue districts and short lines in red districts. You stick machines in there that don't work so well. Maybe that'll slow things down. You put out messages and saying, thank you for voting last week to confuse people when the vote is actually coming up the next week. You say, oh, by the way, you can use any state ID to vote, but you can't use a college ID because they don't want college students to vote. You know, I'm proud of the Constitution of the United States. I am proud of the vision of voter empowerment, of citizen engagement and participation as a foundation for what we do in this country. But I have really been stunned by the scope of those in this chamber who believe in voter suppression and intimidation. I am stunned that they don't share the view of a government of, by, and for the people. Because that's the oath of office we took, was to our Constitution.